Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking that intimidating grid of numbers and transforming it into a super satisfying, completely solvable game of logic. If you've ever stared down a newspaper Sudoku puzzle, scribbled a few numbers, and just gave up in total frustration, well, you're in the exact right place. We're breaking down the absolute fundamentals today. And hey, I'm thrilled to share that throughout this explainer, I'm going to be shouting out some fantastic, totally free resources from MySudokuWorld.com, which is honestly the perfect place to put your new skills to the test once we wrap up here. All right, let's jump right in. So, before we do anything else, let's tackle the biggest misconception out there. When most people see a grid packed with numbers, their brain instantly goes into panic mode. They think, man, I'm terrible at math. This is definitely not for me. So let's answer this burning question right out of the gate. Does Sudoku actually involve complex math skills? The answer is a massive, definitive no. No way. It is purely about logic and pattern recognition. Honestly, the numbers 1 through 9 could easily be replaced with shapes, letters, or even different colors, because you are not doing any adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing here. The numbers are literally just placeholders. So if you can spot basic patterns and use a little deductive reasoning, you already have every single tool you need to conquer these puzzles. Here is our step-by-step roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Anatomy of the grid, 2. The core Sudoku rules, 3. Scanning and cross-hatching, 4. Spotting naked singles, and 5. Mistakes you must avoid. All right, starting off with number 1, anatomy of the grid. Let's look at the physical structure of the game board. Understanding these 4 terms is absolutely crucial because every single strategy we use relies on looking at these specific areas. It's like a giant puzzle. If you can't spot a block, you can't spot the clues hidden inside it, right? So a cell is just a single square on the board, and there are 81 of those in total. A row is a horizontal line of 9 cells. A column is a vertical line of 9 cells. And a block is one of the 9 larger 3x3 squares outlined by the thicker lines. When you're playing on sites like MySudokuWorld.com, those thicker lines are your absolute best friends. They're your visual anchors. Moving right along to section 2, the core Sudoku rules. Let's see how those simple components build into the actual constraints of the game. Okay, these are your golden rules, and I promise you, checking all of these constraints before placing a number is the secret sauce to winning. First, every single row must contain the digits 1 through 9. Second, every column must contain 1 through 9. And third, every 3x3 block must contain 1 through 9. But here's the kicker, the cardinal rule that ties the whole shebang together: absolutely no repeating numbers within any of those 3 areas. That constraint right there, that's your best friend. Now, this brilliantly illustrates a perfect block. It's got every digit exactly once, with absolutely 0 repeats. Just take a second and actively scan this with me. Look at how the 5 is sitting right there in the middle row. The 9 is securely tucked away in the bottom right corner, and the 1 is hanging out near the top. The numbers 1 through 9 are all present and accounted for. If you tried to squeeze, say, a second 5 into this block, the entire puzzle breaks. It becomes instantly unsolvable. Because every single cell belongs to a row, a column, and a block simultaneously, it creates this deep interconnectedness. And you know, that's exactly what makes the game so logically sound. Which brings us to section 3, scanning and cross-hatching. Now that you've got the rules down cold, it is time for your first actionable strategy. When you open up a fresh, easy puzzle, this is the very first thing you should do. Step 1, scan the 3x3 boxes. Step 2, scan the rows left to right. Step 3, scan the columns top to bottom. By following this exact fixed scanning order every single time, your brain actually starts catching the easy placements without getting overwhelmed. Don't just bounce around the board randomly. Be systematic. Sweeping your eyes like a radar stops you from missing those incredibly obvious clues staring right back at you. So let's look at a concrete example of this cross-hatching in action. Look closely at this grid. Suppose we need to place a 7 in that center block. Do you notice the existing 7 up in the top row, outside our target area? Well, that creates this sort of imaginary laser beam shooting across the grid, meaning absolutely no other cell in that entire top row can hold a 7. Now look down at the bottom row. There's another 7, creating a second laser beam. You just cross out those empty cells in your mind until only one safe, valid square remains in the center block. Boom! You've found your placement. Cross-hatching is basically just systematically eliminating the impossible. All right, section 4, spotting naked singles. Next up, we're hunting for what puzzle experts call low-hanging fruit. A naked single is an empty cell where only one specific number can possibly fit based on the surrounding row, column, and block. The crucial takeaway here is that a naked single gives you an absolute, guaranteed placement without any overthinking. No guesswork whatsoever. You look at an empty cell, check its row, column, and block, and realize, oh wow, 8 of the 9 possible digits are already spoken for. The one remaining digit is completely naked and exposed. It has zero competition, which means you can write it down with 100% certainty. Let's actually put this into practice. Look at this zoomed-in, high-contrast block and ask yourself, what single digit is missing from this sequence? Let's literally count it out together. We have a 1, a 2, a 3, we skip a number, then there's a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. The center cell is totally blank. And since we know every block absolutely must contain all digits from 1 to 9, we don't even need to look at the outer rows or columns to solve this one cell. It absolutely has to be a 4. There's literally no other option. Spotting these naked singles is for sure the fastest, most reliable way to make massive progress in any beginner grid. Honestly, when you're practicing on MySudokuWorld.com, scanning for these becomes incredibly rewarding because every single time you place one of these guaranteed numbers, you instantly change the dynamics of the entire board. Placing that 4 might suddenly eliminate a candidate right below it, which unlocks another naked single right next to it. It creates this wonderful cascade of momentum where one solved cell leads directly to another and another. Finally, we have Section 5, Mistakes You Must Avoid. To wrap up your training, we really need to talk about the hidden traps that completely ruin a player's board. This is the big one, deductive logic versus guessing, also known as the nichio trap. Listen, if you guess wrong, you are building your entire solution on a false foundation. You might think you're cruising along, but 20 minutes later, you'll be aggressively erasing a hole straight through your paper just to start from scratch. It's the worst. You'll get down the 2 possible numbers for a cell, you get a little impatient, and you just flip a coin. Don't do it. Sudoku is mathematically designed to have exactly one unique logical solution. Guessing completely destroys the logic required to win. If you're guessing, you simply haven't looked hard enough yet. Take a breath. You've just missed a clue. There's a great quote here. Sudoku isn't about guessing. It's a man's focus, concentration, and deductive reasoning. And that's a powerful reminder of why this game is actively recommended for seniors and adults as an incredible daily exercise for cognitive health and short-term memory. It's a real, literal workout for your brain. It trains your mind to hold multiple variables at once, deliberately hunt for patterns, and just stay laser-focused without giving in to distractions. So, to prevent that cognitive overload, just stick to these simple best practices. First, always use pencil marks. Writing tiny numbers in the corners of a cell to track candidates frees up your short-term memory so you don't have to hold the whole puzzle in your head. Second, reevaluate the board after every single placement. Remember, placing a 3 over here might instantly solve the block right next to it. Third, check all 3 constraints, row, column, and box, before you commit ink to paper. And lastly, if you get tunnel vision and you've been staring at a grid for 10 minutes without seeing a move, take a break. Get a glass of water, walk around the room, and I guarantee when you sit back down, the answer will often jump right off the page at you. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I highly, highly encourage you to go start with an easy grid today. Head over to MySudokuWorld.com to jump right in and see just how deeply satisfying this kind of logical pattern recognition can truly be. You now have the exact blueprint to demystify the grid, so the only question left is, armed with these strategies, when you stare down that grid of 81 blank squares, will it control you or will you command the grid? Grab a pencil and let's find out.